Can an expert explain something so well that it actually makes you feel dumber? That frustrating experience, where the person who supposedly knows everything can't explain the basics, is rooted in a fascinating cognitive trap called the curse of knowledge. It's not a lack of intelligence, and it's not necessarily arrogance, although it can sometimes feel that way. It's a genuine cognitive phenomenon. Essentially, the curse of knowledge describes the inability to remember what it is like not to know something, because you have internalized a complex system of knowledge, the rules, the jargon, the necessary background context. You lose the immediate, lived experience of ignorance. For the expert, the underlying structure of the information is so vivid and immediate that they forget the scaffolding that structure is built upon. They operate at a level of fluency that bypasses the need for foundational explanation. Think of it like this. If you've only ever navigated a city using a GPS, you forget what it feels like to walk through it using only landmark names and vague directions. The GPS is so efficient, you forget the struggle of the manual process. This failure to account for the listener's baseline knowledge is what derails communication. We assume that because the concept is logical or mathematically sound to us, the path to that understanding is equally clear for everyone else. We skip steps, we use acronyms without defining them, and we deploy specialized vocabulary as if it were universal common ground. The expert thinks they are communicating. The novice feels cornered by an impenetrable wall of specialized language. This isn't a failure of the expert's knowledge. It's a failure of their empathy for the learning process. It's the difference between knowing something and knowing how to teach something. True mastery involves not just accumulating facts, but mastering the art of translation, translating complexity into accessible, relatable steps. So, how do you combat this invisible barrier? First, for the listener, the most powerful tool is self-advocacy. You must gently interrupt the flow when it becomes too dense. Instead of saying, "I don't understand," try asking clarifying questions that force them to slow down. For example, instead of just nodding along when they use a term you don't know, you can pause and say, "Could you define that term for me in simpler language?" This redirects the focus from your confusion to their explanatory process. Second, and this is crucial for the general audience, is adopting the mindset of the curious novice. When you are in a learning environment, whether it's a meeting, a lecture, or a conversation, mentally commit to being the person who knows nothing. Pretend that every single piece of background context you possess, the history, the prerequisite reading, the industry jargon has been wiped clean from your short-term memory. This mental reset forces you to listen for the foundational principles, not just the impressive conclusions. For the expert, the antidote to the curse of knowledge is the teach-back method. This isn't just about repeating what you heard, it's about summarizing the process of understanding. After explaining a complex model, don't just ask, "Do you have any questions?" That invites a polite silence. Instead, try, "Based on what I just explained, can you walk me through the first 3 steps of this process?" As if you were explaining it to a colleague from a different department. This forces the expert to articulate the path, not just state the destination. Another vital strategy is employing analogies and metaphors. Analogies are the universal Rosetta Stone of understanding. They map the unknown concept onto a known, everyday experience. If you are explaining quantum physics, don't just use equations. Compare it to something tangible, like flipping a coin that is both heads and tails until it lands. The comparison provides the necessary foothold for the beginner. Ultimately, understanding the curse of knowledge shifts the focus of expertise. It moves the goalpost from demonstrating how much you know to demonstrating how effectively you can bridge the gap between what you know and what someone else needs to know. It's a powerful reminder that communication isn't about transmitting data, it's about building mutual understanding. And sometimes, the most expert thing you can do is to admit that you don't know and ask someone else to start over from square one. So the next time you are in a conversation with someone who seems overwhelmingly knowledgeable, don't just listen to the impressive jargon. Intervene gently. Ask them this. Can you explain this to me like I know absolutely nothing? That question is the master key to unlocking true connection, and it's the most powerful tool in your communication toolkit.